You're listening to Haze Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio. Yeah, you know what it is. Haze Radio Spotlight, Sandra Pizzicalis. Had a crazy day today. Been doing a bunch of interviews, and I got my buddy Delaney came in today from D Squared Terpenes to come hang out with me and talk about himself, cannabis industry. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Thanks for having me in today, man. Been looking forward to this.
Hell yeah. So before we get into, terpenes and what is terpenes, because a lot of people don't understand it. What did you do before you got into the cannabis industry?
For 25 years, I was in the holistic healthcare industry. Studied Chinese medicine. I used to do lectures at Tulane University for second-year med students and School of Public Health. Done a lot of nonprofit work in education and health in the community. I had a friend of mine who owns a CO2 equipment fabrication company that asked me to come on 10 years ago and do some R&D for them on their equipment. And I saw it as an opportunity to see if I could make a better medicine for people out there.
Hell yeah. So what year was that?
That was at the beginning and end of 2009 and 2010.
Okay, so 2009 comes around. Never been in cannabis before.
Smoked a lot of it.
Smoked it, enjoyed it, right? And you get a buddy, hit you up, saying, I'm going to extract cannabis and make it to an oil. Did you even know what the fuck he was talking about? Did you semi-know? Are you like a stoner?
He was one of my clients, and I knew what he was doing or working on in the industry. He was already doing a lot of extraction work for other companies outside of the industry and saw the opportunity with cannabis. But they didn't want to take the chance of putting cannabis in the extractor, so that was me.
Okay, so they first said, hey, we can come up with a methodology. You say, okay, cannabis can be extracted through it. You knew it could be made into an oil.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do then? Did you partner up with them or this? Like what happened?
We partnered up for a while, actually.
Did you consult or this, or what were you doing?
No, we were doing the actual production. We had a facility. Our first big client was Venice Cookie Company back in the day.
Nice. Shout out to the Venice Cookie Company down on the beach in Venice. Beautiful area.
Kenny Morrison.
When that first started, that whole group during the reign of Proposition 215, very prominent group. Everyone knows that place, man. Every tourist rolled down there. Everybody rolled down there.
Well,
Great place to.
We got them to switch from ethanol process in their oil to CO2.
Okay.
And we were doing subcritical.
Ethanol is still a very clean way.
It is
to do it. I'm a very big component or
oh my God,
advocate for fucking ethanol.
The extraction methods over the last 10 years have changed exponentially.
Yeah, when you were saying it back then to them, how they use it to now, what they use ethanol now, it's like really unbelievable.
30 degrees below zero extractions is amazing. You're able to preserve so much that way.
Now, for the layman and people that don't really have, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Explain a little bit about what you were doing and what this extraction was, what you had coming out of it, and et cetera.
Well, in CO2 extraction, it's a little bit different than other solvents. It's a lot of equipment. You're dealing with, just like most things, pressure and temperature. CO2 is not as an astringent solvent. In other words, it won't pull as much as, say, alcohol or hydrocarbon, butane, propane, hexane. But it was looked at and still is as a clean method. I think that one of the things that I learned the most was about CO2 extraction is there's a fallacy out there about doing supercritical. Supercritical can destroy the product. I always advocate for lower temperatures, lower pressures, subcritical, and you can come up with an amazing CO2 product. I think that it's at this point in time, If you're going to do something like that you're going to keep it in its original form, maybe just winterize it, something like that.
Now explain that, because a lot of people don't understand what winterizing means.
Winterizing
What
is just basically removing the fats from the oil. If you're going to vaporize anything, you don't want to have fat in it. So winterization removes the lipids from the oil itself, and then you're left with a pure oil with cannabinoids, terpenes, and all the essentials that you'd want to have in there, a whole plant extraction, so to speak, minus the lipids. I like that for edibles.
That's pretty cool.
And that kind of production.
Explain to why that is beneficial for an edible.
Because you have a full spectrum. You hear this all the time, full spectrum, full spectrum. I'm concerned because it might just be becoming a buzzword at this point in time instead of what it actually is.
Yes and no. I mean, because I think what you say, in a scientific way, you'd be like, whatever. But in an explanatory way to someone who's fucking stupid or has no idea.
Well, you're preserving all the terpenes,
or
the flavonoids.
What I think people just realize is now we just have CBD. This is a CBD store, CBD only, nothing else.
Isolates.
Nothing else. And you're saying, well, CBD is in with other molecules. So when you say full spectrum, it means you're getting something maybe high in CBD,
but also containing
all the other cannabinoids. Because now it's like CBN, CBG, CB this, CB that, and the fucking pricing is
outrageous.
Out of
CBN
control
these days. Oh my God.
Yeah. So a perfect example. I'm right now, talking to people interested in getting it, and I was like, let me price it, right? So, to just give people a relative idea, like, straight cannabis or a high distillate or something like that, $5, $6, $7, whatever it is, $1,000. But I'm pricing and getting things from CBN, and I'm getting quoted anywhere from literally $20,000 to $75,000.
$50,000, $60,000, man.
Insane prices, 50, 60 grand.
Until they get the extraction methods down where they can produce in moss, and they're getting closer and closer to that kind of thing. I think the biggest issue in the manufacturing end of it is also new. They still are studying all of these different cannabinoids.
Yeah.
Kind of like you said, all you hear is THC, 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 CBD, 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 and everything else is left to the wayside. And that's not my philosophy. With my Chinese medicine background, I want to have some kind of whole compound, whole plant type thing. But I also recognize in an industry that wants consistency and quality, why they're doing things the way they do. A customer buying a product is going to expect the same effects every time they take your product. And if they get something different or something varying, they're probably not going to buy your product again.
Absolutely, for sure.
So that's how come I, from manufacturing and cannabis, I saw this opportunity with terpenes, and it's probably one of the most misunderstood at this point in time, as far as what play they have in this whole full spectrum idea.
Yeah, because generally the terpenes have, and explain to everybody what a terpene is and what the medical benefits are of terpenes, regardless of whether, let's give it a couple examples, right? Pick your top 5 favorite terpene, like basic terpenes, to explain to people and know, that's what that is.
Okay. Well, basically, I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions that I'm hearing is that terpenes are an oil. It's not an oil. What I like to tell people is that it is the building blocks of essential oils. When you think about essential oils in herbal medicine, it's actually the terpenes in those products or oils or in even the whole plant that help to direct the healing process of that plant. These are all proven through scientific methods, studies, abstracts that have been going on for decades now. This is not something new to the industry. Most of the time you see terpenes in a product, for scent or smell, that kind of stuff. But there's actually some amazing medical benefits to it. For instance, terpinolene, which you might hear a lot about. Terpinolene and almost every terpene that is in cannabis that I've encountered is an anti-inflammatory.
Terpenes, right? So, for the layman, would that come out as a piney smell?
It would be a piney smell, yes.
Okay. And limonene,
Limonene, yeah.
right? Lemon
Right. It comes from citrus. Yeah.
comes from citrus.
Yeah.
What's the citrus one?
Well, I mean, you've got balancine, you've got limonene, and the thing is, and what people have to realize is, when you get down to an isolate in a terpene, say, my favorite one to talk about it in this manner is, say, linalool. Linalool,
Okay, I've heard of linalool. Kristen promotes that one a lot.
Linalool is a great anti-anxiety relaxant. It's
So you take the terpenes, unlike a lot of people. Shout out to my boys. Give a little credit to True Terpenes. I know those guys for a while. Theirs are all more of a liquidy form, right? So, and then that can be added to oils, distillates, this and that. You're going the opposite route. You're like, hey, I'm going to make them in powder forms, so then people who are making isolate can mix it in with that, or no?
No, we're still doing the hydrocarbon. It's an alcohol. Terpenes are an alcohol. So ours are an alcohol base that can be mixed in with other products. What we're looking at is going beyond the vape pen industry into the medical industry. We've been working with doctors. Any of our formulas, like for pain and inflammation, day and nighttime, topicals, that kind of stuff, is tested with our doctors and patients before we release it for effectiveness. They're even tested without cannabinoids, just as a standalone terpene formula, to make sure that they're effective, so that when we add CBD or THC or CBDA or THC, anything
absolutely,
like that, we know that it's going to boost that.
Now, do you stock it, and can someone go online per se, let's say, and order stuff from you, or no?
Yeah, we have an e-commerce site on our website.
Oh, sweet. So definitely
D2customterpenes.com.
Okay, but for the stoners, is it spelt squared, or is
no,
it
it's D2. I'm sorry, D2 Custom Terpenes is the way it's spelled out.
For all you stoners out there, remember, it's D2.
So our offices here in Chatworth can provide small batch stuff, and it's kind of our research lab. In the Northeast, we have a GMP compliant, FDA compliant laboratory that drop ships all of our larger amount formulas. So we like to cover all our bases. We're insured. Our products have product liability, the whole 9 yards, just like any other business model. What I was getting ready to say before about linalool, when you're talking about terpenes and individual isolates, that isolate doesn't matter if it comes from, say, linalool is in hops, which they make beer with, but it's also in cannabis.
Sure.
It's also in lavender.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, for sure.
No matter which one of those things you extract it from, when you get it down to the molecule, you wouldn't be able to tell me which plant it came from, only that it's natural.
I got you. Now, let's talk about the relationship, because you brought up hops, right? In beer and lager, because I think, is it Sierra Pale Nevada or something like that? They actually have, if you notice, it's like a hemp or cannabis type leaf because of the relationship of using the hops. Is it of part of can? Explain it. Just break it down.
Hops actually contains myrcene, beta caryophyllene, humulene, and linalool. So when you're drinking beer, and depending on what type of beer and the concentration of that, those terpenes affect you in the way that's why you kind of sit around on your couch locked. You just feel lazy and relaxed.
Really? So that's more of the terpenes than the alcohol content.
It's the hops. Yep.
Okay.
The terpenes in the hops make you feel that way. They affect your mood. And in fact,
that's very interesting.
The funny thing is we've got a couple of beer companies that we're working with right now to create some formulas for their beers.
Okay.
So we can make a beer taste more hoppy or more citrusy, or even help the effects. Some experimentation right now to even see if we can lessen hangovers.
That's interesting. And what science goes into figuring something like that out?
Well, basically you have to know the brew process, and that's our guys, and the knowledge of the terpenes themselves and what their medicinal benefits are. Like I said, most terpenes are anti-inflammatory. what I was getting ready to talk about, a little while ago is with terpinolene, and terpinolene is not known about this, but it's in our pain and inflammation formula, and it works and can work in conjunction with DCF, diclofenac, which is the 8th largest sold anti-inflammatory in the world.
Wow.
And so if you add a tincture with this terpinolene in with that and then take the diclofenac, it boosts the powers, the anti-inflammatory powers of diclofenac, and also takes away the side effects. So we can even help pharmaceutical companies make better medicines or recommend things in conjunction with that.
The question is, do they want to?
Actually, there's several doctors that we are working with that are looking for better
I'm talking about the big pharma,
No, big pharma doesn't.
No way. Yeah.
No, they want to push us out.
Yeah.
But I think eventually they're going to have to come on board. People are going to demand it. They're going to see it.
The wave of knowledge from people interested in cannabis. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Reason why we even have a station or network to inform people is because there is so much information about that, and I think that's almost going to overpower the doctors, because the doctors after a while are not going to feel like they want to feel like their own patients think they know so much more about a certain topic. I don't give a fuck what it is. They're talking about endocannabinoid system and this and this and this, and the doctor's like, what?
Right.
This, and you're trying to explain all that shit when there are other professional doctors who've completely stamped and approved and said, not only do we have that, but other animals, I believe, right? Or other
animals, mammals.
And mammals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting, and why we have those receptors already part of our brain or part of our function, shows that it was supposed to be there for a certain reason.
Well, yeah, we produce our own cannabinoid called anandamide, and what they're finding these days is a lot of different pathologies or diseases are due to an endocannabinoid deficiency.
Lack of, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so,
I've that's always been very from the beginning of doctors that I've been talking to and everything else, is that's the realization. It's almost like this weird like jaunt to the whole medical system, because now there's this whole different.
Well, they have to rethink it all.
Yeah,
now.
you gotta look at it in a way different way if that's true, right?
I believe it is at this point
Sure.
in time. I've seen enough anecdotal, and I've also seen enough studies, and some of them are very current that are citing,
and
the way the system.
If you were to, again, no expertise in a sense, because there is no true mass way of looking at this, but if you had to say somebody in their obviously 20s, development's different than the 30s, different than the 40s. A 20-year-old, right? A full spectrum pill, even with a little THC in it and stuff like that, 10, 15 milligram a day would be a great preventative help. Health, let's say. You're in the 30s, maybe popping it up to like 15, 40s, maybe like a 20 or 25 or something like that, but almost correlating that if you took it as daily intake, it's increasing the deficiency that one's lacking from not having it.
I think that we need to have a better understanding of all the individual cannabinoids.
Sure.
THC, we know that we develop a tolerance to. In fact, after a period of time, you hear these chronic users, me included sometimes, and it's like, oh man,
Sure.
I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
And it's because your CB1 receptor in your brain has retracted because you've already fed it enough, and it's like, okay, we don't need this, so we're just going to retract it. So that's when you have to lay off of it for a few weeks so that you can have the feeling again. CBD is not the same way. In fact, something that's really interesting about CBD that I'm finding out that, because everybody touts about, all the things that it does, but nobody talks about the contraindications. And so one of the main ones, which in today's society, how many people are on antidepressants?
Oh, yeah, tons.
So, it interferes with the enzyme in your liver for absorption of that antidepressant. So if you're on an antidepressant, you shouldn't be taking CBD unless you consult with your doctor to see if you should try that instead of your antidepressant.
Those who have never taken antidepressants
then
okay,
it might be a great.
and you're feeling a little down and out,
It's amazing.
it's worth trying. It's
Yes.
almost
Well, it's even worth trying it
yeah,
if you are antidepressants. You just got to make sure you check with your doctor.
and the shout
get
out
off
to
of it.
Kava Kava,
Yeah.
right? Plant right there. You can go in the supermarket. Try helps that too. Natural thing.
Also
And,
promotes REM sleep. I don't know if you knew that.
Kava Kava
Yes.
promotes and break that down a little bit more. It just means you get
Well,
a deeper sleep. Generally for it. Or
Well, rapid eye movement. They say that you haven't had a really good sleep unless you have a couple of hours of REM sleep. You've heard of REM sleep.
Sure.
Kava helps to induce REM sleep.
Interesting. Wow. Now, is that considered a deeper sleep or no?
It's considered a deeper sleep.
A deeper
Correct.
sleep.
It's a more
sure.
restful sleep.
Do you think those that smoke cannabis right before they go to bed can induce a similar form of REM or no?
I've seen conflicting views on that.
Interesting.
So I'm not quite sure on that. I
Sure.
don't want to answer something.
Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah. If
I've
you
seen
just don't
conflicting
know.
things. I've had
Yeah, for sure.
Myself, I get a good,
Some people, whatever.
a good
yeah.
heavy terp, profile on a nice bowl, and I'll sleep like a rock.
So do you put the oil tincture and put a drop on it, or do you actually take the isolate of the terpene and put it right on the bud?
Oh no, I never put it on the bud. It's an alcohol. In fact, I have a couple of clients,
So how do you add the terpene to the bud?
Well, I was talking about the natural terps in the bud, but if you wanted to
let's just say
add,
hypothetically, like you have right now, we have these hemp cigarettes pre-rolls that are coming out,
and I've got a couple of companies that are doing that,
and the Shabinsky gelato.
And what I recommend
of that. How did they mix it with the hemp?
I'm not sure how they did it, but I can
if
tell
I asked you,
If you asked me, I would say
you
you get a humidor or you get a terracotta clay disc.
Okay.
Soak the disc in some water. Add your terpenes onto that disc.
Okay.
And then you take that disc and you seal it up with your pounds or whatever you're trying to infuse with terpenes. And,
Interesting.
And then you're not gonna. It's not touching because alcohol on your hemp or cannabis is going to burn it.
You're saying to create. So if we hypothetically used your terpenes on a dish, threw in a little, shout out again to my boys at Bovita, threw one of those 56 or so, they have the exact humidor like amounts that it should be to keep that perfect fucking thing with the terpenes floating in the thing. How do you know how much to put per pound or per amount? You know what I mean?
I've got the ratios for that for us, and you just put it on, like I said, you put it on that disc, you seal it up for like a week, and it permeates, and so it'll smoke the same, smell the same, feel the same as just anything else.
No shit. That is really interesting.
It is interesting.
I want to fuck with that. we're gonna have to do little side projects together and shit. I want to fuck around with that. That's great.
I've fooled a few growers before.
Really making them think that the smell of the thing is a whole different type of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you smell most terpene profiles, they don't have that greenness in it. You know what I mean? It's all the
now,
other
what about the
terpenes,
taste correlation? How when you burn something that's strawberry cough and you really truly get that taste in the smoke even of that flavor. If you did the clay method that you're talking about and put it in the thing,
you would get it.
You'd actually get that in the
yeah,
flavoring of the smoke too, huh?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah, we actually have a couple of companies
awesome.
doing that already with their pre-rolls.
That is fucking cool.
So, because like I said, you don't want to douse your weed in alcohol.
So you guys are actually taking pounds for guys, terping them up, and then getting them back to them?
No, we just sell them the terpenes and show them how to do it.
Yeah,
we consult people on how to do product development and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's pretty tight. I think that's really cool. It'll be now that stuff that you're talking about, right? Way different than when people are putting vitamin E or what's being seen in these vape cartridges. Explain to people what that shit's all about and why that's different, and not to be confused, because now you're worrying about your marketplace being destroyed by them banning flavors all over the United States that has nothing to do with it.
I'm not worried about the flavoring for myself and my company personally. I'm concerned about the industry and the consumers, because we have a short window of opportunity to do this right and to help as many people as we can. With the vape pens, they took their cues from the e-cigarette companies, adding PG, VG, MCT oil, all these other types of
and how do they get away with it?
The federal government requires these nicotine companies to dilute their nicotine oil because it's too strong to sell. So
But
most
wouldn't
of
they have
these,
done any kind of study just to see, hey, we could just do it with
obviously,
something else or not? I mean,
obviously not. And I'm seeing the studies now that they're starting to come out, and it's not just the vitamin E. That's what's in the spotlight right now because
Yeah, sure.
it's the most
yep.
thing in the front. People are being hurt the worst by it. But there's already studies showing about flavorings, which a lot of the big companies are. They have their amped up version of this or their flavoring section because we've got people in the market, the consumers that want cotton candy or buttered popcorn
Absolutely. Yes,
or
absolutely.
mint or this or that. But it's not a safe. You've got to recognize
Sure.
that that's not safe. The only thing
is
that
there terpenes
well
that are
and-
like butterscotch or like popcorn or
Actually-
could actually like really simulate that type of shit or no?
No, there's not. I mean, I've
Oh,
got a
okay.
few profiles that
Sure.
I've taken
Sure.
and I've amped it up, but it's not with flavoring.
Now,
It's with a
if
terpene.
if you took MCT oil with CBD or THC and put it in a vape pen, that's not good either,
no,
right?
no,
You
it's
can't
going to
do-
leave fat deposits in your lung.
It'll leave fat deposits in your lung.
It's what
from
the
smoking
vitamin E is
MCT.
doing too. And the problem.
Okay,
So,
okay.
So the problem's
You hear
it's
that out there?
It's multi-level.
What else? Well, so what do most people cut that stuff with?
Cut the vitamin E.
No,
Well,
I'm saying when they take oil to put
Well, I mean,
it in
if
a pen.
the safest way, the way I recommend my clients do it, is basically just the isolate. Some people are doing winterized oil. Like I said, I love the winterized oil for.
Well, if you put just shatter straight in, and it's thick, people can smoke it, and there is no harm, right? In a sense, right?
Well, there's the residuals, and I'm always worried about how much residual is safe in anything. That's one of the reasons that I signed on and don't mind the isolates or the distillates because when they get down to that process,
how do you put the isolate into what that
Well,
goes
that's-
into a pen?
that's
Like
not
how-
into a pen. I'm just
Well,
saying
I'm
that.
just saying, like, if we're gonna have a pen discussion,
Well, pen
what-
discussion, the distillate, I like that because there's no residual of any solvents left in it by that time.
Yeah,
what
but
people-
everybody's cutting it. So
Yes.
what?
Not
what-
everybody, but
a lot
lots.
of people.
A lot of
And-
people.
And what do you use then that is safe, that could burn hot, that isn't going to fuck you up?
Well, that's the issue. People want something that's not realistic.
But is there anything or there isn't?
There isn't anything that you can cut it with other than terpenes. And then even terpenes, there's people out there putting 10 and 15%, and that's not safe either. And I sell
Well,
terpenes.
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, because
Yeah.
people will add the terpenes.
So four
what's
to
a- what,
4 to
five-
6% maybe.
Okay.
And terpenes.
Okay.
So
So you only cut a pen 5% really. So if
Really?
it isn't pretty thick and fucking in there, then you're fucking, And
well,
that's why. And
that's why they added the vitamin E because I was teaching a
yeah.
bubble test, and the faster that bubble moved, the more it was cut, and so
Yeah,
they started
absolutely.
adding vitamin E, so it thickened up to fool people.
To fool people. Now.
That's the real reason,
now.
brother.
And the reason
More
why,
money,
and-
bottom line.
Oh, and the reason why the medical or the recreational lab ones that they fucking tested were on the money is because they don't cut with anything. They actually just put the distillate right in,
They
a
just put
gram or a
distillate
half gram or whatever it is,
with
and that's
terpenes.
it, with a
Yeah.
tiny bit.
Yep. So it goes beyond that, Andrew. It's also temperature. Anything above 400 degrees is no longer vapor. That's smoke. And lots of things and chemicals have different reactions above that degree temperature, and they're going to turn into carcinogens, even the best of things. So my recommendation is always low voltage vaping. 3.3 volts is what I use personally. And I love my live resin. But if I'm going to do a distillate, I want to make sure that it's natural, not synthetic. It's not cut with flavorings. It's not cut with PG, VG, MCT oil, and Lord knows what else they're going to try.
Now, in a non-heating sense, though, for a tincture, for a pill, ingesting it in MCT oil is actually probably the best way to
I believe that too.
take oil than eating it straight Rick Simpson sense. Like
Yes.
I've always heard, shout out to Dr. Bob Melamede, one of the guys that I really love in the cannabis industry, doctor, and worked with all the best doctors around the world, and Dr. Bob always suggested if you were going to eat oil to start off, you'd make like 6 pieces of rice, sized little pieces,
Microdose.
and eat those and try to ingest it and stuff and build up a tolerance so you could eat, if you had cancer, up to a gram a day and stuff like that. But it's sticky, it's thicker, it's this, it's that. I think when it pulls into with MCT oil, and MCT oil actually has good medical benefits to the body, right? They say that helps regulate certain things, right?
Yes. It's a good omega.
Yeah, good omega if you're not really eating fish.
Right.
Especially with all this Fukushima crazy stuff, and now who knows what the fuck
Who knows what you're eating these days, man?
Anymore.
We're going to have testing
There's
labs
everything.
for seafood.
It's nuts, man. It's like fucking crazy, right? So, any other new developments, though, coming up with terpenes and what you're doing?
Well, we're constantly doing research. That's pretty much the main focus of our company all the time. We've got several clients. I'm on 3 different advisory boards for different companies.
Let's give
now.
a shout out. What are the three boards?
Guard Biopharma out of New York.
And what are you doing with them?
I'm doing product development with them for their. It's a group of doctors actually.
Sure.
Some doctors I worked with out of Vegas
Nice.
with Hope, and BioGuard, the Guard Biopharma group saw our products, checked out the effectiveness, and
Nice.
This company came into being recently. So
Sweet.
I've got another company, Mitzvah, which is the first OU kosher cannabis company in the world.
Nice.
The OU is just starting to open up licenses for that.
And now the OU Cannabis Company, are they also coming in as a service to kosherize edibles? Or what's the purpose of the group?
Well, it's an interesting story. Shifra Klein, who has become like family, we met a couple of years ago, and she's got 2 autistic kids. One was nonverbal, and it's an amazing story of how the doctors said that they should institutionalize him. And years later, she did research and found out about cannabis, and now he's verbal, and now he interacts, and now he'll look you in the eyes, and he can give you directions on the metro.
Wow.
And this is somebody that they wanted to institutionalize. So
Wow.
With that, she approached the rabbis, and she got permission, from the
Sure.
synagogue and the rabbis
Sure.
to use this. And
Wow.
it started to catch on because it's a natural medicine.
Of course.
It's mentioned, in their scriptures.
Yeah,
And,
of course.
so I just thought it was an amazing story. So
Yeah, that's pretty great.
D Squared is also kosher.
Nice.
We're OU kosher. We're the
Sweet.
only OU kosher company in the United States. There's only one other one in the
Where your
world, and it's in Israel.
The Terps are kosher.
Yes.
All kosher.
All kosher.
Yeah, that's
I'm a
great.
kosher Cajun.
Yeah. So if you add your terps to the product, well, then would it be semi-kosher? You call it semi-kosher.
But
I love it.
But this group is amazing, and we've been working with a group of doctors out of John Wayne Cancer Institute and several chiropractic offices, and just having a really good line for patients to test our products. And
So websites for the 3?
Mitzvah Wellness, MITZVA Wellness.com. We also work with veterans or people in uniform and give them discounts. And we also work with families that maybe can't afford us on a sliding scale.
Oh, that's great.
We have one, if you
Because
look up.
terpenes aren't cheap. They are expensive.
They are expensive. They are. And
That's because there's equipment and, scientific. There's just a lot of things that.
and the research,
Yeah.
Insurance, they're flammable. So I mean, insurance is expensive. Product liability is expensive, basically because it's a new area. So, like I said, terpenes have been used in other products. I mean, the LaCroix, the
Shout out to
sparkling water.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they have linalool in it, and
Interesting.
in one of their
And
flavors.
is that how they flavor a lot of theirs? Is
They
just
use
straight from
terpenes
terpene additives?
yeah.
And it's healthy, soluble.
It's amazing, what we can do with this, and I'm amazed every day just looking at the new research that's out there, or even finding something that's different. I was going to say with the mitzvah products, we love working with them because we get to try our formulas out with this company and get it out into the field as our first test. And if you go to Mitzvah Wellness Google reviews, you'll see some amazing testimonials on there. We have one woman that has 4 kids with autism out of Florida. She said in one day that the dynamics of her house changed by that tincture.
Wow.
And this is a pain and inflammation formula, but it still has all these other lists of benefits. This is just the main target.
Sure, that's totally amazing. Any shout outs to friends or family out there?
To my partner, Damon Ono out there, thanks, buddy, for always propping me up, making our design look good, keeping us operating. To my sales girls, thanks, ladies, for always having faith in what we're doing and holding our integrity. And just to all our customers and consumers, I really appreciate you guys. It's what keeps us going, knowing that we make a difference.
Sure. Any Instagram?
Yes, D2.
D2.
Custom Terpenes on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're on all 3 of those. And,
Absolutely. Thank you, man, for coming on the show. And all you guys out there, download Haze Radio in your phone apps or check us out on HazeRadioNetwork.com. You know where we got all those different cannabis talk shows, from Adam Hill to Kyle Cushman to all the different people we have that come on our station to bless us with all the great cannabis news and information. And just remember, whether you're at work having a rough day, whether you were home having a fight or this or whatever it is, just remember at some point in time, take a break, relax, and smoke a little cannabis. My name is Andrew Pizzicalis. Thank you for joining us on Haze Radio Spotlight, and we'll see you soon. You're listening to Haze Radio Network, Cannabis Lifestyle Radio.